Welcome to Fact Flight. Today we will be going over one of the most fearsome gladiators and slave leaders of the Third Servile War, Spartacus. When it comes to this particular warrior and freedom dreamer, all we have is epic stories of outnumbered slaves fighting against the ranks of Rome. To this day, little is known about his early life. Some say he was an exiled Roman born in 111 BC, while others thought he was a Greek who came to liberate the slave population in 91 BC. But the most accepted and believed story is the one of a historian from Alexandria named Appian, who stated that Spartacus was born a freeman in Thrace. To the ancient Greeks, Thrace was part of the Balkans, which in modern times it will be geographically defined and separated between Greece, Turkey, and Bulgaria. Analysts from around the globe say that Spartacus served in the Roman army but later deserted and became an outlaw. After some time he was apprehended, sold into slavery, and passed on for training as a gladiator, reason being that he had an incredible strength and physique, common traits bloodthirsty Romans loved in the arena. When it comes to his family, the biographer Plutarch wrote about his wife, a woman from the same tribe who was enslaved with him. Despite there being no historical record to this fact, it is commonly accepted in the community. After being taken captive as a slave by the Roman legion, Spartacus was forced to train at a gladiatorial school near Capua, owned by Cornelius Lentus Batiatus. He was classified as a myrmidio, a heavyweight gladiator equipped with a gladius, a scutum, and a cassis Christa. 73 BC. After months of training really hard and winning lots of battles at the Colosseum, Spartacus was plotting an escape with 70 or 80 other gladiators, acquiring knives from the kitchen and a caravan full of weapons which they used to fight their way out, killing anyone that would get in their path of plunder and destruction. After they escaped, the gladiators freed more slaves and recruited many of them, making a slave army on their way to Mount Vesuvius, where they took refuge and trained basic combat skills taught by the gladiators themselves. Spartacus, next to two Gauls, Crixus and Eunaemus, shared leadership of the slave revolution, although many of the gladiators chose Spartacus as their only leader. During this time, the Romans were busy fighting revolts in Spain, and they saw rebellions as simple matters rather than a full-scale war. So they didn't care much and just dispatched a militia commanded by the praetor Gaius Clitus Glaber to besiege the mount, hoping that the slave army would starve to death. But Spartacus was a smart tactician who would not let a bunch of power-hungry men end his freedom. So he surprised them by climbing down the cliff with ropes and vines in the attempt of flanking and then defeating Clitus Glaber, killing his lieutenants and destroying his military equipment. While crossing the land and defeating more and more expedition of Roman troops, his army was getting bigger and stronger day after day, with more than 120,000 slaves by his side. During these encounters and battles, Spartacus proved to be a great leader and military genius, getting his name all across the empire, letting everyone know that he was not only a gladiator, but also a king of the slaves, freedom for all. During 73 and 72 BC, the slave army spent the winter training and arming new troops, while Crixus took off, leaving the main force, taking 30,000 men with him, thinking it would be a good idea to start raiding the countryside, which proved to be a huge mistake. Because after a while of countless victories, his army was attacked by Roman legions under the command of Roman consul Lucius Gellius Publicola near Mount Gargano. During the battle, it is said that he fought bravely on losing efforts until he was killed in the conflict. Once Spartacus heard of this horrible news, full of rage after losing his friend and great leader, forced 300 Roman prisoners to fight to the death in honor of Crixus, sacrificing all of them, even the ones who survived. Finally, after the deadly winter was over, spring arrived and the rebels left the encampment towards the north, encountering the same legion guilty of defeating Crixus. But this time they were not successful in their mission, because Spartacus and the main army crushed through their defenses with no remorse or mercy. The Roman Empire, now desperate, sent Marcus Lucius Crassus, a volunteer, to defeat Spartacus approximately with 40,000 trained soldiers. He was one of the wealthiest men in Rome and most well-trained, capable of fighting many armies just like he did. Spartacus, alarmed by the forces coming his way, made a bargain with Sicilian pirates to transport him and some of his men to Sicily, where he planned to cause another revolution, gathering as many men as possible. However, he was betrayed by the pirates and left with no money. The rebel army then moved towards Rhegium, where they were being harassed by Thrace and later being cut off all their supplies, leaving Spartacus and the rebel army really weak. The legions of Pompey were ordered to go and give aid to Thrace, but his honor made him believe that he would lose credit, so he refused. In a desperate attempt to save his own people, Spartacus tried to bargain and make an agreement with Thrace, but as well he refused. Spartacus and his army then started to march towards Apulia, where he would set sail to Thrace, and that is when Thrace attacked from the rear in 71 BC, on the territory of Senercia. After seeing how low the morale of his army was, he killed his horse and stated that if he won, he could have as many horses as he desired. But he also said that if he lost, he would have no way to run away. Spartacus was at the front when the Romans attacked. He ordered forces to break down as small groups to attack oncoming legions, while leaving him and the rest of the army to give everything they had and defeat Thrace. But most of the rebels were killed in battle, where many believe is the place in which Spartacus died, but his body was never found. 6,000 survivors were later captured and crucified along the path from Rhodes to Capua, in order to show what would happen if another rebellion were to challenge the mighty Roman Empire. Now that's all for this video. If you guys liked it and enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below.